And this is Gustavo. When he was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, the most common type of cancer in children. In October 2015, he and his family came to St. Jude to undergo chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant. He's now 7, alive, and enjoys spending time with his brother. His mom says that St. Jude has been a huge blessing for them. He is just one of the 7,800 patients treated yearly at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the world's leading cancer research centers specializing in children. St. Jude helps any sick child who needs it, no matter the family's financial situation. The treatment is absolutely free. The money comes from donors like you. They have helped and cured thousands of kids from disease worldwide, but there are still 1,000 times more kids who don't get the help that they need. And sadly, some of those kids are in heaven now. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital should receive your $25,000 contribution, because one donation means that we are one step closer to finding a cure. We're going to tell you about the poor funding that childhood cancer research receives in other hospitals, how St. Jude was established to help solve this problem, the kind of research they do, and exactly what your donation will do to help make this epidemic a little bit better for everybody. And now Cody will tell you about the general funding, or lack thereof, of childhood cancer research.
To start out, we'll talk about how childhood cancer is vastly underfunded and how it has been for many years. According to Kate Sheffer, Director of Advocacy for Cure Research, National Childhood Cancer Foundation, childhood cancer gets only $170 million a year for research, compared to, which is only 4% of the nearly $5 billion the National Cancer Institute devotes to cancer research a year. This obviously shows that we put much more emphasis on research on adult cancer compared to childhood cancer. Since 1980, only 8 drugs have been approved for the treatment of childhood cancer, compared to hundreds for the treatment of adult cancer. Much of the chemotherapy that is used today is over 25 years old, showing a complete lack of development. These staggering statistics show how out of date the treatment for childhood cancer really is. Since adult cancer is also an issue we must focus on, funds need to increase so that we can maintain the research we use for adult cancer while vastly increasing and advancing the research for childhood cancer. Along with the treatment aspect of St. Jude, they also devote much of their resources towards the necessary research and are considered one of the front runners in childhood research. Therefore, it would be a great and ideal hospital to donate your money to in order to help for the research and advancement of childhood cancer. The cost of childhood cancer treatment is also one major issue. The average cost of one visit in a hospital is $40,000. The average median income of the average American family is $50,000. That means that for just one stay, a family will spend 80% of their average yearly income, putting them in financial turmoil. The actual average cost of treating the most common type of childhood cancer, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, for 2 years is about $500,000. With this being said, it is apparent that cancer treatment is extremely expensive and that St. Jude's needs all of the funds that they can get. The less funds they receive, the more kids there are that go without treatment, resulting in more childhood deaths from cancer. Many hospitals get about 90% of their funds from insurance. However, most insurances do not cover the services provided by St. Jude's. Only 14% of their funding comes from insurance, compared to the 75% that comes from donors like you guys. With such a high percentage of funds coming from donations, they cannot afford to lose any more donations, as well as the contributions as well as the other contributions they receive. If donations continue to rise, then the hospital will be able to ensure that every patient receives and finishes their treatment, and many more sick children's lives will be saved. Michael will now talk about the story of St. Jude.
St. Jude was founded on the basis that no child should die while his whole life is ahead of him. The hospital was established with a little bit of help from the spirit world. It was opened in 1962 by a man named Danny Thomas, a young entertainer. He was a religious man who struggled to find his purpose in life, and so he prayed to St. Jude Thaddeus, the saint of hopeless causes, and he said, "Help me find my way in life and I will build you a shrine." And he did. The shrine was St. Jude Hospital, And that's why there is a statue of St. Jude Thaddeus outside the hospital entrance. It's been there since the day the hospital opened. The building has been renovated many times since 1962, but the statue has stayed the same in the same spot ever since. It's there as a symbol of hope. It took only one man to start this remarkable service, just like it takes only one donation to save a child's life. Unlike other hospitals, St. Jude believes the family should focus all of their attention on making sure the child gets well and not having to worry about the cost. Families who turn to St. Jude never receive a bill. Travel, housing, and food are all covered. According to St. Jude's website, it costs $2 million a day to operate the hospital, and they report that 83% of every dollar donated goes directly toward their cancer research and treatment efforts. Through these contributions, the progress that St. Jude has made in the last 50 years has increased the overall childhood cancer survival rate from 20% to 80%, and the survival rate for just leukemia alone has gone from 4% to 90% since the hospital opened. St. Jude was also the first facility to develop a cure for sickle cell disease through a bone marrow transplant. St. Jude does not take a single penny of its money for granted. $2 million a day coming almost entirely from donations means that they literally cannot afford to lose charity. If you donate $25,000 to the hospital today, $20,000 of it will go directly to their research efforts. They don't get help from the government. They hardly get any help from insurance companies. It's all you. A sick child today is now 4 times more likely to survive than he would be 50 years ago, thanks to St. Jude's progress. And now let us show you about one of the milestones the hospital has achieved. There's a new type of therapy discovered at St. Jude that can mobilize a child's immune system. It's called immunotherapy. Elizabeth Jane Walker published an article this year in Promise magazine, the official magazine of St. Jude, that said when healthy cells become cancerous, they mutate, and then the immune system can no longer tell which cells to kill. But now we can help fix that. St. Jude created an experimental antibody that supposedly alerts the immune system to attack just the cancer cells. And they engineered it to minimize painful side effects like you would get with other types of cancer treatment. Early immunotherapy results showed that cancerous tumors shrunk to less than half of their size, more than half their size. And researchers call the therapy very promising. This is Kushi. She had a case of neuroblastoma, which is cancer in the nervous system. She received immunotherapy. It made her a little bit sick at first, but she responded well to the rest of it. And now the doctors call her Sparkle because of her glowing personality. Her dad says that their experience at St. Jude has restored his faith in God and humanity. If you ever wonder where your donation to St. Jude will end up, think about her. They actually have made advancements in finding a cure for cancer. And just think that through more funding and more successful tests, in a matter of time, this kind of treatment could be available to everybody. No more chemotherapy, no more hair loss. But that can't happen if the hospital can no longer afford it. And now Cody will conclude our presentation.
So we have seen that cancer is a tragedy that nobody should have to suffer through. Kids like Gustavo, Ali, or Sagre have been lucky enough to have happy stories thanks to St. Jude. But what about the millions of other sick kids who can't receive treatment? What if it was your child, grandchild, niece, or nephew? When will we have the sufficient funds to treat all children with this terrible disease? St. Jude is the best solution to this problem. They are on the forefront of innovative research for childhood cures and medicines. And based on the data we looked at, St. Jude's has the best chance and resources to find a cure. And your donation will bring that day even closer. Researchers are working hard every day to find a cure to the deadliest disease in the world. By donating $25,000 today, you could be saving one innocent child's life or be the reason we find a cure to this terrible disease. Thank you.